And one of these days, I'll get it right. One of these times, I'm telling you. Yeah, we let anybody sit in this place.
Hey, you been eating my plants, Prince? I don't think we have to eat the way we do. Probably don't have to sleep the way we do. So, you know, I brought my beliefs into it and correlated it with the Mandela effect. So all I did was step outside and I thought, oh wow. Like, what? They're human beings and have a right to decide what they want to do for themselves. Bob from Globebusters calling on Brian Staveley's show talking about the Mandela effect. You know, sometimes I really wish Bob would just do Mandela effect research. You know, I tend to think that there is an AI out there doing all this. It's just, how the fuck would we know? It's up to you what you want, what you decide, what you choose, you always know the right answer. It's right within you. I am a human being. No one owns me. Howdy.
Hi, how are you today?
Best day of my life. This is the last picture that I took on my P900. This is our third pandemic, and I lived through the first two without even knowing. As people controlling people to the AI's ends, whatever that is. When you say NPC, that doesn't mean they actually know. It doesn't mean they're good, evil, bad, pleasant, a priest, some holy person. It doesn't matter.
Australia is clearly shown, but in the spot where New Zealand should be, it's just blue ocean.
People out there with a lot of brains that are smart people, and they kind of get it, and they're just, and you know, it's funny because I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are just doing their thing already and have been, and I'm guessing this is great. Had a really nice day today, and it was just because the energy was very positive. Just in here, actually, I want to say around me, but it wasn't. It was from here. Anything that was around me came from here. They're human beings and have a right to decide what they want to do for themselves. Okay, cats have a right to decide for themselves too.
So I'm telling about the scarecrow, the Wizard of Oz. Oh, he didn't. Okay, let me give you a hint. He was walking through the forest. No, when the Wicked Witch.
Have nothing. The Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz. You've seen the movie probably many times.
The Tin Man had an axe.
He needed a brain.
The lion was scared.
Had a gun. Had a revolver.
He did.
Uh-oh. This could get ugly. I just spoke with somebody who is aware of the numbers, following the numbers, and going on what's going out there. It's the same thing. And even then, you know, as smart as I think this girl is, she's like, wow, yeah. It's like, didn't think about it until then. But she's like, that was ammo, because she's still on board with something's wrong, something's not right. And they're still, it's funny because I still see the negative and the positive. And I'm like, I'm just here to observe, to sit back and observe, because when I get into this stuff that they're doing that it's completely obvious that there's something wrong. Absolutely. Here in a restaurant, just started opening. Right on the thing is this thing about how I'm going to have to get my facts, and these people are going to have to look at it and go, oh, okay, I better do some research because I don't know what I'm talking about, because I'm just doing what they're saying, and they are wrong. I didn't know who to go to. Who do you go to? He's hiding it because sleep. We could just totally be programmed into sleep. That's not even a joke. We could be programmed into sleep like I feel we're programmed into eating. Okay? I don't think we have to eat the way we do. Probably don't have to sleep the way we do. What I've been attempting to do is once the sun starts to go down, and here that's a long time before it gets dark. Once it starts to go down, my goal is to no strenuous activity, nothing, no eating, getting ready for bed, kind of just sitting back, maybe just hang out for an hour and get to bed before the sun's totally down. Hasn't happened yet. Okay. And I want to get up right before the sun comes up. I'm gonna go to bed right when it goes down. Come on. That's my goal. Been trying that. Thing was blown out of proportion. Like I said, they probably had this thing for the last 10, 15 years every year, and now they gave it a name. I have been kicking around this thought about AI. I mean, look. And I figure you get that sick, you're just shifting. If you're an NPC, you're just dying, going back to source. Because by the way, when you say NPC, that doesn't mean they actually know. It doesn't mean they're good, evil, bad, pleasant, a priest, some holy person. It doesn't matter. They are what they are. And you still need to interact with them as if they're a real soul. And like I said, my definition of NPCs is just somebody that's in a timeline far off removed from mine. They're actually a real person. Just the aspect of them I'm talking to is who they would have been had they followed that path to be in that timeline I'm in. Makes perfect sense. So, I break it down. I broke it down so far that it doesn't matter. You just go out and be a good person and do your thing. You know, it's funny because all this has done was made me realize how important it is for me not to have a birth certificate, not for me not to have a driver's license. I do those things. Okay, at first I did them because I was told I had to, and I was programmed to, and be a citizen in this world. The more and more I research and do look at things, and I'm my own person. I am a human being. No one owns me. For you to tell me I have to walk around with a card that says who I am to drive a vehicle, I'm willing to accept that. Okay, I understand that. Okay, but there's other things that go along with that. Whatever, it doesn't matter. If you're not hurting anybody else, you shouldn't have anything to worry about. That's what I'm saying, because that's really what it comes down to. For me, any authority figure is really only around to make sure other people aren't hurting other people. I figure the people that are probably the unoccupied NPCs that are programmed to do that. The real them are so far off somewhere else, they're fine, whatever they're doing. Could there be a fake person out there doing things that I shouldn't be doing, but doing them and showing me that it's okay? And then I need to make that moral decision or whatever. You know, it's like, well, they're doing it. I don't have any of the numbers. I just know what I have up here. I am who I am. I am not owned. I will not be told what to do. I will not be forced into anything. But I really don't think it's coming to that. I think there's enough people out there that will comply to the numbers they need that they don't need me. She's not going to ask only she walked away from me. Now, I'm curious. Did she walk away from me because she was afraid she was going to give it to me? I was going to give it to her because I'm not where I don't. Separation has succeeded. As soon as they open up the ballparks, I'm going to a ball game. And I'm just wondering how many people are realizing, you know, that they're going to simplify their lives after this. You know, they're going to simplify their lives after this. They're going to realize I do not have to struggle. I do not have to go through all this. I do not have to have this gigantic house. I do not have to have this beautiful car. I could just have a nice, modest place to live in, something to cart me around. And so, yeah, what I see a lot of people simplifying their lives. Boom, that's a great thing that this started. I see people getting their sleep proper. I don't think there needs to be a schedule for sleep. I just think you need to sleep when you need to sleep. You need to eat when you need to eat. I can't believe I haven't said this. The most obvious thing with the enemy is the media, period, straight up. And then they'll have some good things and pop them in here, and then you get the... We got all these people chowing down. Very nice, very nice. But I'm walking by somebody that I know. They come by, they go, "Oh, I don't have my mask on." I'm looking at them like this. I'm like, "Good." She takes off into some store. And the guy, and I look over to my right, there's a guy next to me with the mask painted on his face. Literally. Not literally. But it was so tight. I had to breathe it. So I looked at the guy and I was like, "Hey, what's up? Sorry, no offense. We're still friends, even though I don't know who you are." He just kind of laughed under his mask. "No problem." Offered to buy him a cup of coffee or whatever. He didn't care. He didn't care. And he just did keep my mouth shut, I guess. I don't know. Somebody else told me, "No, don't do that. Keep opening your mouth." I'm thinking that might be the root. Howdy.
Hi, how are you today?
Best day of my life. I've known about this shit for so long that it bothers me because it was dragged on for so long that I'm at some points I'm like, no way could that happen. They're doing it. They're so far separated from you, from me, from all of us. Then how do we stop them? We don't have to stop them. We just go about our business. You know, I tend to think that there is an AI out there doing all this. It's just, how the fuck would we know? They built that shit up so much. This is just an AI calling the shots. If that's the case, you'd think it would know every scenario and what the chances are, what's going on. But because the computer, the AI, the news, the way we spread the bullshit all over the fucking world is bullshit, and they know it. Or it knows it, because I'm starting to think it's a computer. And so just thinking out loud, what's the plan here? What's the agenda here? As far as what do we do once we're open and see that this AI that's running the show, we either conform or we retaliate or we don't conform really, and then the AI sets things in motion that has people controlling people to the AI's ends, whatever that is. So, and then what? Then what? It gets to a point where it's just, well, AI figures it's not working, reset, start over. They figured it out, start over, it didn't work, do it again. Hey, I have everything I need at my fingertips as far as answers because of my higher self, because I'm connected with it. And I went through this thing for a while where I really didn't talk to it, stopped meditating. I got all this time, are you kidding me? And then something happened and I needed an answer. I took a minute, but I thought, oh, go to the higher self. Right like that. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm sorry I wasn't listening before. Sorry I wasn't connected. Sorry you weren't here. No, I was here all the time. Sometimes they connect. Sometimes it's me. They explain. Sometimes it's not me. Sometimes it's the frequency, the energies, blah, 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 blah. The answers were right there. Then I get on video. I saw a damn Pratt video. Man, you got to be kidding me. This woman was freaking out because people weren't wearing gloves and masks. Her attitude is how I feel about people wearing it. And I think it's up to truthers, up to us to find out what really happened and get it out there before it happens again. Or maybe the next shutdown will be the fake alien invasion or some other thing they pull. I've done some preliminary reading on it. A lot of it's very vague. A lot of these people writing the articles don't even know. And they're writing an article and being vague and not knowing and just saying what's been told to them. One of the things that seemed very straightforward to me was the only people that should be wearing the people that show. But other things I've read also talked about how you need to let viruses run their course so our immunity systems can build up to it. And it's all natural. It's in our body. It's what we've done. If we have low immunity systems, it's because of the garbage we eat and the shit we breathe. I'm telling you right now, and I've been telling this to people before I even read up on any of this stuff. If you're going to wear a mask when you're alone, take it. There were no trails, and there was just puffy clouds. I mean, the first day it was puffy clouds with a little bit of drag, just haze dragging around. And then yesterday it was just puffy clouds here and there. No trails. And this is the thing I was saying. If there's no trails, maybe there's no clouds. I mean, this lines up with it. That doesn't mean anything. I'm not doing experiments or anything. I can get very, very passionate about things. And I see the separation. It's obvious separation. It's people who absolutely believe everything they're told. Look, I wouldn't care if they were telling us the truth, but they've lied throughout history. They've lied throughout my entire lifetime. They've lied throughout entire history. And what they're saying doesn't make sense. And you got people out there really seriously buying this stuff. And the whole time I said, hey, I'm going to respect this. And I have. But I can't, and I've spoken with people about it, and it was my idea to go out and talk with people and be respectful and the whole bit, but listen, most people know it's crap, and most people aren't wearing, most that I've seen, I mean, I'm in the middle of nowhere, but most people are not wearing it, you know, and I'll bet anything there are people sleeping, if there's people driving around in cars with their windows up, there are people sleeping. If they would have, as serious as they were saying, they would have shut down the airports. People being born in this world, this is normal. A normal thing every few years. And I think that's what they're going to do. Like I said, slowly. I've had 2 days of clear skies because it clears up. It clears up to a clear blue sky. After a few days, then they come in with the lines, and then the clouds kind of show up here and there again. That could be why they have to do it all. I don't know. I'm speculating. You know, I'm wondering about this whole thing that there are actually no clouds, that they're just created. Oh, I'm doing some research, reading here and there. Nobody can give you a real straight answer. Even with the one thing that came out that, you know, last week I think I mentioned, you know, this is our third pandemic. And I lived through the first two without even knowing about it. And the first one apparently was SARS. I don't think it lasted long. And the next one was MERS. I never heard of MERS before. This was built in 1910. Here's a cornerstone for you. Whoa, hold on. So that ought to be telling. What was built in 1910? Oh, this is the Masonic building. You know those symbols, huh? What do we got here? Masonic temple, a cross and a crown, a triangle with a sword in it. There's more on top of these buildings than I realized. I was talking to one police officer. He said he notices tourists are starting to come up here, but not in flocks. I mean, it's not like it's a lot. Would be when we start opening up and everything seems like it's back to normal, yet there's other places out there abiding by the takeover rules. It's up to us to gather as much information as we can see that we have to get. That's going to be our job as far as truthers go, to find out what the heck actually happened and get it out there so that when they pull the second. And that was the invisible controller. So I say enemy. Was I the invisible controller? And if it is an AI, if it's just, an AI that's calling the shots, that would just be strange. That'd be like a Star Trek episode. I feel like I left a door open, kind of like I invited a vampire in. I feel like I left the door open for some negativity to hit me. I feel like Mr. Smith just jumped in 3 days after an event and compounded the situation that was nothing. Didn't just compound the situation, there was no situation. It just seemed like an opportunity, but I don't understand why. I mean, I understand why on a physical standpoint, but I was attacked. That's the way
I got a sheet of paper.
And you're putting up a chain link fence to
Prevent what? Why am I surprised when I walk by the news and I hear some guy say something, and then I'll walk by another day and he says something totally opposite, and I'm surprised. And I say that because there was a guy that was on the news that I assumed was very important, who was saying things I didn't agree with, and then he's saying stuff I couldn't agree with, and I'm just like, okay, whatever.
I'm not going to tell him. So I'm telling him about the scarecrow, the Wizard of Oz. Okay, let me give you a hint. He was walking through the forest. Now, when the Wizard of Oz. You've seen the movie probably many times.
The Tin Man had an axe.
He needed a brain.
The lion was scared.
He had a gun. He had a revolver.
He did?
Yeah, nobody remembers that. You Google it and you'll see it. You'll Google it and you'll see the gun. There's a gun. So let's go back to his assassination. So how many people were in the car? No. How many people were in the car?
The driver got shot.
How many people you think were in the car?
4.
3.
There was 4. I want to say 4.
Good, tell him, Jimmy.
What is
Tell
it?
him.
6.
He was asking the question. This is the first time I got to do a video without saying a word.
Oh, you wrote a book about it.
I wrote a book about my experiences. That's
I know. I read his book.
And then I got
I read his book. I'll
to
give it to them. I've read your book.
Oh, you know about the Looney Tunes? Okay.
Yeah.
So you know
So
about
I
this
know
stuff.
some of that. And then with other things that has changed within time, I do know certain television, certain things that are advertised on TV is changing the way we are thinking. It's programming us different ways that we are thinking.
Oh,
So subliminal messages is really affecting our generation due to the fact of even with
Affecting
news,
our thinking, our way of growing,
everything,
our way of
everything, everything.
This thing was blown out of proportion. And I said it from the beginning, check my videos. Alrighty. Here we are on the mineral trail. I've never gone topless, okay? I'm just saying. Never. And they spell saloon wrong. Is this one of the misprint shirts? This is one of the misprint shirts. Because that's not how you spell saloon. In this timeline. I'm sure it was right when he made it. Hi, Anthony. I'm trying to access your YouTube site for Mandela Effect. Is there a direct way to your page? By the way, Suso Vlogs. It's not my new channel. It's Suso Vlogs. It's everything right from the beginning. 2-hour videos, year by year, right through. It's not really a backup channel. It's more for new people. So that channel that I'm talking about, no, that doesn't even exist. So we can mix that. People coming in who are interested in seeing what happened to somebody else as they went through things, although my experiences are a little bit extreme at times. But, you know, I guess a backup channel because it's got all the information. You know, maybe a lot of people won't subscribe and they'll say, the absolute truth of the matter is, the more I get upset, I'm just feeding into the separation. That's the separation right there. And they're totally manipulating everyone. Yeah, I took the P900 on a bike ride. And that was just absolutely ridiculous. It was tied up tight, and it fell twice. It's pretty much done. So it was like the 15th, I'll guess, on a Monday in June. We decided the bar's going to be closed Mondays and Tuesdays. Tuesdays we'll do our shopping. Mondays there's a day off for everybody. But every Monday, everybody is invited to do whatever the task of the week. The hot springs 2 weeks in a row. That's what happened. The same one at that. We should have went to a different one, but whatever. So hot springs, whitewater rafting. Last week it was the bike ride, where I get to destroy my beautiful camera. Meet. Could be Arkansas. Junior, it'd be a lot easier next time if you just don't take the bike. Uh-huh. Oh, I want shots of this. Sweet. Thing I did. Come on, kid, get on. We're getting up. I mean, I know we're even going late considering what we're going to be doing next Monday. We're climbing a 14er, I guess that's what they call them, Mount Elbert. Right out here, the one I'm always taking pictures of. One where the circle cloud came over. That's kind of cool. So all I did was step outside and I thought, oh wow. It's like, what? But I'll be bringing my phone to take pictures and video and whatnot. There's the mountain I'll be climbing one night.
He wants to get to the top. I'll go. I just think it's going to take longer than 8 hours. There it is. These look higher. They're just closer. It's the highest. What is it? Second highest peak in the continental United States, I believe.
So like Friday or Saturday, AT&T was down. Nobody could make any calls if you had AT&T. And now today, there are no phones, no public phones at all can be used. They're all down. What's that about? What does that have to do with anything? Ooh, my buttercup. What is going on out there? What is going on out there? It's not going to do anything by the time, it's dirt and whatever. And they break easy. Oh, but I had enough. Like I busted my P900 taking it on the bike ride. This is how it speaks to me. And it's a matter if I'm paying attention or listening, okay? This is the last picture that I took on my P900. So I'm listening to Bob from Globebusters call in on Brian Staveley's show talking about the Mandela effect. Sometimes I really wish Bob would just do Mandela effect research. I don't mean that. I do. He's amazing when he comes up with something over the phone. Everything he said was just definitely one of the theories I've had for a while. I wonder why it slows, dips. I'm talking about the Mandela effect and how big it'll get. Sometimes it seems to slow down and dip and then come back. And I think it's probably there all the time. It's just a matter of what we notice or where we are tapped into consciousness. In his opinion, and something else. There was somewhere else he derived this information from, that he feels that the Mandela effect is going to grow and get bigger, and to the point where it's going to be obvious. I state that in my book. But what got my attention the most was when he said reset will not be an adequate enough word for what's going to happen to this world when it gets to the end. Because we're getting to the singularity. I'm not quoting verbatim, but his point was the closer and closer it gets to the end, the weirder and weirder things are going to get. That is not what he said, but I'm pretty sure that's what he said. Because I've been saying to people, I think we're in the middle of a reset here. And this play out there is just to see what kind of control they actually had at the end of this civilization compared to the other civilizations and resets. But think about it, the reset. We're starting to come up with that. We're noticing mud-flooded towns. We're noticing mountains that look like trees or bricks, like they were buildings at one point, knocked down, giants. We're coming up with all this stuff. What if they've done this a couple of times and it worked and nobody caught on, and now we're all catching on? They're going, okay, time for a different kind of reset. Although this, with the singularity and getting to that point, seems more spiritual compared to just dumping mud all over the place, which would be physical. I think he might be right. If we're coming to a reset, this might be a sort of reset where it's just totally wiped clean. Complete motherboard wipe, whatever that means. Maybe even because there's those out there this was just a theory of mine, could be out there trying to continue their consciousness because they know this is coming, or they know some sort of reset is coming. And maybe they do have to do a complete wipe. See an interesting cloud formation. The Dollar Vigilante put out a very interesting video recently. Forget what it's called. Check him out. I just saw this video where a white girl and a black guy were being asked if white people can experience racism. And these kids were like, no, you're not going to experience racism unless you're black, is basically what they were saying. I can't say nothing. Listen, John White came into my bar today. Him and his wife sat down, had a meal. And as I'm giving him the ticket, I said, so you're going to be changing your last name? And they I said, I know. I said, everybody's so sensitive, you should change your last name. And he's just, I get what you're going. He goes, you don't think it's going to come to that? He goes, it's going to come to that. People are going to be coming after me because my last name is White. His last name could have been Black. They would have become it. There could be a black guy with the last name of Black, and you're racist. I mean, come on. Some of this stuff's going way too far, and I'm not listening to the bullshit on the news. And I know people are, because I hear them talking to me, and I'm like, walked into a store where it is absolutely mandatory. Hey, where's your... Don't have it! Continued shopping. Why do I think it's necessary for me to mention that the guy that asked me about the mask was Indian? From India. Not an American Indian, from India. He was from India. I need to point that out too. Why? Are you kidding me? Most people I've talked to, as a matter of fact, the one couple that spoke to me, that they just said, oh, it's the 1% going out and doing all that. So there's three categories here. We got the 1%, and then we got the masses that comply, and then we got the section of us that know the 1% is bullshit. And then that was it. There was no more, questions. Went up, bought my stuff. I said, dude. Stay home to save lives, please. If you were really serious about it, you people would stay home. What if they all come out? Everybody's saying in July, August, it's coming now. It's coming soon. It's going to be a real. Now they're going to, will they do that? I don't know. Other people think, I don't know, because they need us. They don't want to kill us. But I'm thinking, well, if they did do that and people really started. All the smart people, all the people that I listen to on YouTube, and I'm going to say all, I'm not sure about that yet, but most I'm sure of. So far, all. There's a couple people out there that I don't understand how you could believe that the earth is flat or even have a Mandela effect experience and know that's real and think this stuff isn't complete bullshit. How can you do that? And I've talked to another couple today that absolutely know. They said, oh yeah, it's the 1% out there doing that. None of the real people are doing that. They said real people, not me. And bullcrap, I won't say it. So am I hurting myself? I don't, you know what? I don't care. I'm getting healthier walking 3 more blocks to get my weed. People keep telling me it's just temporary. I don't see that. Come on, people. And bullcrap, I won't say it. So am I hurting myself? I don't, you know what? I don't care. I'm getting healthier walking 3 more blocks to get my weed. The absolute truth of the matter is, the more I get upset about it, I'm just feeding into the separation. That's the separation right there, and they're totally manipulating everyone. My Internet Mandela Effect Conference. Every time I watch it, it gets better, and I catch up. I'd say tonight specifically, but it's the last time I watched it. If I watched it, I think the IMEC means right. You know, I think they have good intentions. I don't think the International Mandela Effect Conference is a good representative of the Mandela Effect community, because I think it's a community. I don't think it's a group. Go higher. That's what I'm getting. Go higher. I wanted to talk about labels. No, it's telling me to go higher. It's telling, I want to say what it is, but I've already done that. I've done that. You know, if you're not listening, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've said that too. It's your call. It's up to you. Go higher. It's up to you. It's up to you what you want, what you decide, what you choose, you always know the right answer. It's right within you. Always. No matter what you're doing, you always know the right answer, and it's right here. And it's actually your whole body, I'm learning now. That's something I'm learning. It's not just your heart or your head, because forget, you know what? If you're having so much, well, okay, we don't want to skip that. You need to line up your head with your heart, and you don't want to skip that. This is a new thing that I've learned, and it's amazing. And maybe that's why, because it's easier, and it's right there. It's on target. You know immediately. But then you have to bring it to your mind and choose what's right. But your body will tell you what the answer is. But it's up. But your mind right now is in such control. Ba-bing. That you need to line it up with your heart to, at the very least, balance it, so that when you bring the answer that your body has given to your head, you at least can go, okay, you're already balanced. You're not all in your head, because if you're all in your head and you get what your body says, you don't give a fuck. You just do whatever the fuck your body, whatever physically you want. For the little bit, I'll go into the IMEC conference right now. If that thing was Mandela Effect based, wow, they wouldn't have had a thing to say. That would have been it. Maybe there was just too many cooks. So the IMEC committee, IMEC, has taken down all of Lauren's content and will not be in the final post for their 2020 online conference. I was on Hebrew show last night. Very refreshing. We just talked about Mandela effects. We talked about my presentation on the IMC. And I'm so with, it's the same as everybody else's. You know, I brought my beliefs into it and correlated it with the Mandela effect. That's my beliefs. That's how I got there. That's what happened through the Mandela effect, and it's still with me. I said what I wanted to say. That's what I wanted to say. I wanted to talk about the Circle Club, and explain that, and we got that out. We got out the symbols and what they meant, and there was only 2 of them, I think, but the main one. I really think a path to the answer for me, for what I saw out here and everything coming together, is what I said at the end of that video. So what did we end up with there? The golden ratio and empty set, meaning everything. You have everything. You have the golden ratio. Everything was right there. That's how I interpreted it. We can manipulate, create whatever we want. I mean, there's more to it than just those 2 symbols, but that was the answer. These are slowly coming in for me, and these are things I'm not going to catch quick, especially with the way things are today. And it's the same stuff, and there's just constant separation. And even when we all think the same thing and talk the same thing, it's always different terms, different words. I hear some people saying higher self. I hear some people saying Jesus. I hear some people saying God. I figure it's all what we call it, and that's it. And then, but the people that are calling it this are going, no, you can't call it that, or you can't, or this. It doesn't matter. It's the same message. It's the same energy. It's the same connection. But with the labels, it doesn't matter. And there are people that I would steer away from because of the way they would label things. I'm guilty of it, absolutely. Does it matter that if it's timelines or where you're tapped into consciousness, or if it's one solid field and it's just changing, or if it's a computer program, or does it matter what it is? I think it'd be nice to know. I think it could matter. Does it matter? What's the important thing here? Well, why is it happening with work? And now I got bees coming in here. Everybody's telling me there's no bees. I got bees finding their way in through my screen. So I believe I mentioned that they took that information down, not associating it with the IMEC. Hey, I don't think a Mandela effect mental health doctor needs to be in our community, because in my opinion, they've already made their decision. If you find that there's a reason, you want to tell me science and research, and this person's already made their decision. It doesn't matter. You want to do research? Other people have done research. Moneybag 73, his videos, that's research. I've torn apart Lauren's presentation because of the whole bringing a doctor and mental health thing. I'm so with that. There's no way that this woman should assess us after she's already made her decision. To infer that everybody that's Mandela affected is mentally ill. And she did. You know what? You watch it. I have it taped. So.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on here. I really appreciate it. And I'll help the best way I can. So my background is within clinical mental health counseling. I'm currently a doctoral candidate for the Counselor Education and Supervision program. Prior to that, my master's is in clinical mental health counseling. And then I do have a background of about a 2-year stint within clinical psychology. So I like to kind of have my hand in each part of the clinical aspect of care. And then my current position, I'm mostly focused on research. So I'm a director of global research for the company that I'm affiliated with. And a lot of what we do study is effects of PTSD, more or less how content can impair the brain or change structure of the brain. So that's kind of where my area of expertise is within, just more surrounding secondary traumatic stress and PTSD. Now, when you're moving into complex trauma and like you'd stated, it's trauma after trauma, it becomes a little more difficult, right? We've broken down a lot of our protective barriers at that point, but it doesn't mean you don't have the capability to heal still. Even when you're addressing borderline personality disorder. Yes, a lot of times when that's a personality.
This is a Mandela effect conference. Burns me up. Community is so small, it'd be easy to turn this into a disease, man. It's not the direction we want to go in.
Tell us a little bit about changes in the brain due to trauma. And then I guess the next question would be, just changes in the brain or changes in perception when you learn something new or open your mind to perceiving new information in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know there's obviously multiple layers to this question, but just kind of at the most basic format, when we are encounter any form of trauma, whether that's to ourselves or witnessing trauma, it makes us a little more hypervigilant. So most people are aware of the concept of the fight, flight, or freeze response. And with that, when we encounter something that is so traumatic when it's so impactful to us, it can change the way we start seeing the world around us, whether safe or unsafe, whether we start noticing and become more vigilant of just things around us. So think in terms of when you're scared. Say somebody flips on a light too fast in a room and you kind of jump for a second. Your brain automatically starts scanning an entire room very quickly to see if there's any danger, if you have anything to be concerned over. And when that does occur, and especially with trauma, it gets stuck in a loop. So you start attending to your environment far more than the average American or average person. So you think of that with the way you're experiencing certain changes in perceptions, you're more vigilant about everything around. When you open yourselves up, and here's the second layer, I think, to your question, when you start allowing yourself to be a little more open to the new concept or new things that are happening around you, or your new perceptions of items or objects, then you can start opening up your mind to allowing for integration of some of those experiences. And that's when we move into a lot of what we, like Piaget's simulation accommodation. Right. So if your brain doesn't have kind of the little structure of how it should fit in, it'll create a new one. So that's kind of what it seems like you're kind of stuck in an in-between. You still have those templates of objects or things that you've known, but you're seeing them in a very different way. So even when we were talking about some of like the changes in even like words, right? Well, when our brain doesn't need to scan for trauma, it looks at things very quickly. So when you have I think we talked about the Cheez-It box, where everyone calls them Cheez-Its, right? Because that's a social construction.
What those perceptions were until recently. So we did that interview a little while back, and then recently I told her more candidly exactly what was going on.
So even when we were talking about some of like the changes in even like words, right? When you have I think we talked about the Cheez-It box. When you have I think we talked about the Cheez-It box. When you have I think we talked about the Cheez-It box, where everyone calls them Cheez-Its, right? Because that's a social construction. If I hear the word Cheez-Its, my brain doesn't need to look at the box because it's heard it enough times to know it's Cheez-Its. Not a big deal, right? But when I've experienced something traumatic and I'm more vigilant about my surroundings, I might start looking at that box, or I might start looking at other things around me. And when it doesn't align, it can start feeling a little more scary.
Right.
So basically, is the doctor saying that it's a brain function from her point of view? She's not Mandela affected, right?
So I don't just respect Mariah's privacy. I don't want to say whether she is or is not Mandela affected.
That's baloney, because they're friends, and it's her doctor, so she knows about it. So the wrong thing to do. She wants to join our community, but she won't tell us if she's Mandela affected or not.
Great care not to Mandela affect her before the interview, because
even when we were talking about some of like the changes in even like words, right? When you have I think we talked about the Cheez-It box.
Because I didn't want her to be confused and have to.
She's your doctor, right? She's your friend. You hang out with her.
I just wanted her expert opinion on certain topics. It was my idea to discuss the mental health perspective because I personally experienced a lot of trauma.
She wants to diagnose us with trauma. She is not going to come out and say, you guys are all sane. This is awesome that you're seeing changes in history. This is great. Bring on more changes. Oh, everybody else is insane because they're not seeing the changes. Not needed in the Mandela effect community. You're going to bring a mental health doctor in who's already made their decision?
In the United States, and even in other areas of the world, China, for example, the idea of having mental health issues is so extremely taboo.
Why are they trying to bring the Mandela mental health into the man? Look, I already asked myself quite a few times if I was crazy. And not one of you think you're mentally ill, right?
I mean, oh, well, mentally ill people wouldn't think they're mentally ill. And I have to try and make this correlation. Do you realize if everyone in the Mandela effect becomes mentally ill by definition, it's just their definition. Okay, their definition has nothing to do with anything. Okay?
Burns me up. This is
a lot of times
wrong.
the reason
This
it's
is
diagnosed based
wrong.
off of childhood trauma is because our brain actually develops its neural network by age 2. So if you are exposed to trauma or neglect, it's a lot more difficult to rewire the brain when it was solidified and that's the way it perceives the world.
People trying to bring mental health doctors into the Mandela effect. I'm going to joke.
Borderline personality disorder is dialectic behavioral therapy. I just said that.
What is that? What is that sentence doing in the Mandela effect conference?
It doesn't mean it's still that you're unable to adapt, you're unable to cope with the world, or that
This woman has no idea. She didn't experience the Mandela effect. She couldn't have her.
Not apologizing for this. Community is so small, it'd be easy to turn this into a disease, man. Now, see, what I haven't actually officially got is that IMEC.world with the tests and all that also has nothing to do with the International Mandela Effect Conference. That's not official. I don't know that. Most of the time I kept my emotions out of it and just tried to speak facts and, present what other people were also upset about. Because that was my thing. I'm looking at this thing going, wow, if it wasn't for Lauren Cannell's presentation, I'd have probably just blew the whole thing off as, okay, they're, bringing in these other people. And I might have questioned the lack of Mandela effects in it, but I would have still said I still enjoyed them all because it's me,
Howdy.
It's all this political stuff. I don't get it because I don't really pay attention to it. But from what I understand, if Biden wins, the virus stays. If Trump wins, the virus goes. I don't understand any of that. I don't know why that's the case because, where I stand, the thing is not real, or it is, but it's overblown. Don't pay attention to these things. I'm just saying. From what I've heard, if Biden wins, the virus stays. Trump's team has control of the virus, and if you go to a minute, it goes away. But if Biden's team wins, it stays because they just keep pumping. Are you kidding me? Directly in front of the bar, let them sit inside. Had a couple people at the bar on each side, and then 3 tables in the back had their stuff. And like people come in to eat, and people want to have it, sit there while they're waiting for their meal, because it makes a difference between eating and drinking. So now we're a restaurant. We don't really have bartenders. We will serve drinks, but it's a restaurant. There's too much mingling going on. So what is this? So now we're not allowed to mingle. I think they're going to make mingling a law. They're not allowed to mingle. Can't they ask these people to spread out? If they're going to check the place out, could you do it not in this area all at once? Are you kidding me? Everybody's so sensitive in the world. Mingling? Yeah, baby girl. It was a lot worse than this earlier, so we decided not to go up that mountain. That's what's coming in. It looks like it's clearing up, but it could be bad up there. They say you got to leave before 6 a.m. and you got to start down before noon. It's like 9:30 now, so postponed it.